What's up, guys? Elijah Scheidler here, owner, supervising broker of Venue Real Estate. Welcome back to another installment of Community Conversations. So honored to have Samantha Kervadec, owner, operator, and founder of Camionnette Coffee here in the food court of the market here in Bozeman, Montana, just off of Huffine Lane. And so excited, guys, for the conversation today, for you to get to meet Samantha. Samantha, thanks so much for being a part of our conversation today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to be here, connect, just have some, stimulating conversation.
Yeah, 100%, which has been the theme of all of our conversations leading up to this point.
Yes.
And we just got to collaborate on a marketing piece, which conveniently coincided with your 1-year anniversary.
It was incredible timing.
Which was January...
December 9th.
December 9th.
Yes, December 9th. You're jumping forward.
I'm jumping forward in time. I actually live in the future. I'm such a visionary.
Me too.
But December 9th, so it was so awesome then that also got set up through community collaboration. You had given your free drink cards to Town and Country.
Yeah,
They gave me one. I came and got a coffee, chatted with your girlies, which we'll get into, not a pejorative comment. Chatted with your girlies, had an amazing conversation with them, which then led to our conversations. And it's such a celebration of just seeing how community and people that have similar values winds up self-sorting and introducing it to one another. So absolutely been so amazing thus far. In our conversations, it was so interesting. And you said you were born in France?
Yeah, totally. So I was born in France. I lived there until I was 9. During that time, my parents owned a bakery called Le Fournil. It was in the heart of a nice busy town called Lorient, and we served organic, traditional French pastry. So my dad was a classically trained pastry chef. He very much instilled that quality ingredients make a quality product. That's why a lot of things here, like our syrups and sauces, cold foam, etc., are made from scratch.
Gotcha.
We also, of course, import some lovely French ingredients because I know they're doing good stuff over there, as well as sourcing locally and really making the most of the resources we have here in Montana.
So quality, sustainability, is born, ingrained into you from childhood.
Absolutely.
Must have been super hard eating fresh French pastries.
I took it for granted. Oh my God. If I could go back, and have a fresh croissant every morning, just down the stairs, by the way, because we lived above the bakery. So it was at our fingertips.
Oh, that's
and
so beautiful.
I'd be like, another chocolate croissant. Well,
do I have to eat it?
Now, if I could go back, I would be so grateful.
Yeah, but it's so beautiful seeing how that got worked into your taste buds, got worked into your person. Just it was innate to your personhood moving forward. It's a culture you grew up in.
Absolutely.
And so then moved over from France to the United States. And so have a background in culinary, but then coffee goes great with croissants.
Yeah.
But then how did you merge then into a pathway of coffee versus baked goods?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we moved to the U.S. We moved to Wisconsin. My mom is from Wisconsin. She missed her family, so we had to go back. And she had been, as I was growing up through middle school, high school, she was in management at big companies like Bath and Body Works or Wells Fargo. I saw that, and I saw the benefits and the almost academic learning that she was able to garner from these institutions. And I then heard about Starbucks' partnership with Arizona State University, through which they offer full tuition coverage. So when I was 17, I began working at Starbucks and began studying business management through their college achievement plan.
It kind of was a fusion, I hear, that you moved into coffee with Starbucks, but then that also Starbucks, their leadership development program,
Absolutely.
really helped to inform your business model, which we're going to get into. So excited. But that you really received a lot of value from their training and leadership.
Absolutely.
Moved you forward, and then that birthed Camionnette coffee?
Absolutely. I had some incredible opportunities through Starbucks. Not only was I able to have my bachelor's paid for, but I also was a part of their store manager training program, which focuses on things like leading with empathy, leading with your heart, and draws from a lot of Brene Brown's work. So that was a really big part. Yeah, I love Brene Brown.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, we could go on about her.
It's like, let us not
We'll
be
put a
distracted.
pin in that.
Pin that. Yes, love that. But then so beautiful then, so like the name La Camionnette is the little trailer.
Yes, little trailer
in
kind of
French.
brings back to my roots in France. I mean, I don't have a strong French accent, and so a lot of people would never know that that's where I came from and that's in my background. So I really felt like I had to name my business something that led back to my roots so that I could continue to carry that forward.
So beautiful. It's a huge value for myself is looking backwards and honoring the foundations that have helped you rise.
Absolutely.
And I think that's so beautiful. So I think, getting to see kind of the genesis and hearing the story of how you've come into business has been fascinating. I think leading into this conversation and to celebrate what you're doing in your business is from that first encounter with your girlies, that there was I got to taste your culture. By way of, I met with them, I was interested to kind of hear about coffee. I have a 12-year career in coffee, so I love coffee culture and supporting new coffee shops. Engaged your gals as they were making my coffee and said, hey, so what's the vision? I came over, and I assumed that both of the girls that were in the trailer were the owners, and not just by way of like, you guys are the ones that are in the trailer, but just how they held themselves and how they were engaging me. And they both just shook their heads like, oh no, we're not the owners. Our owner's outside. Would you want to talk with them? As being a business owner and then really valuing intentional business practices, the integrity then that I experienced in your workers, before I even had talked with you or heard about your philosophy of business development, was such a testimony to me of the integrity of your vision. And I had a sociology professor who defined integrity as the degree of correlation between stated belief and action. And so I got to taste the action point of your values before we even sat down, and then you graciously said, sure, let's pull a table over here, I'd love to tell you about it. We had, I think that first conversation was like 30 minutes.
If not an hour.
Oh my goodness. Yes, we engaged. I walked away with that with 2 or 3 organizational, structural philosophies and ideas that I then went into another business meeting with 4 other business owners here in the Bozeman area. I was like, guys, you have to hear this. This is so beautiful. And so I think then engaging that then and helping other people hear about those, we really got into your foundation is super simple, timeless, and effective. As you approach business, like what was kind of the foundational principle of your business philosophy and model?
So our mission at La Camionnette Coffee is to enrich those around us through intentional, exceptional experiences. That weaves its way into everything we do, from the fact that we do make a lot of our syrups from scratch and take that extra time to make sure that we're using quality ingredients that aren't packed with fillers and preservatives. And we also are really intentional with the way that we interact with each other. It's a funny example, but so many times during the day we get the comment that, wow, there's 2 of you in there. It's such a tight space. And my response is always, yes, but it's not any different than any other food service job I've worked, because you're always bumping into each other. And here we're so much more conscious of the space that we share and the ways that we might unintentionally get in each other's way. And I feel like that really helps build this like added level of communication to everything that we do.
Yeah, which in our previous conversations leading into this, we talked about how you're very intentional in the way that you go about things. Likewise, define intentionality as doing things on purpose with a purpose. And so hailing back to your comment within your Starbucks managerial culture, that they really celebrated an empathetic approach. And so this design, even in the design of your trailer, that it's a small space, but intentionally designed to that you have to then stay in close proximity of like, oh, there's a person here. We're affecting one another. Like, let's move and flow in this space, almost in like a choreographed commerce context
Absolutely.
where you're dancing
No,
through the day.
and
in
it does
commerce.
feel like that. It
Yeah,
absolutely
which is beautiful,
does.
which keeps you connected to people. Like you're aware of them. You're staying empathetic. And I know that in our conversation, you had mentioned how kind of some of your experiences earlier in life before you started your own business, that you had experiences within a context of business that were not, they weren't aware of other people's needs, and that affected your approach. Like what experiences did you have?
Absolutely.
That informed that?
Absolutely. I mean, I personally had experiences, and I've seen so many of my girls have similar experiences where we enter these workplaces with so much energy and passion and desire to learn, and instead of being met with this genuine desire to teach and genuine desire to empower people, instead we're met with almost this restriction, right? We're not in so many jobs these days, I feel like people want to be celebrated more. There isn't enough celebration for the things that we achieve.
I think that's really great insights, is that people really want to be celebrated. And so as you come into a business context, obviously that's a constrained context for commerce. Our goal is making profits, and there's structures in place that serve that goal. There is an invitation into structure, but I think sometimes those goals of profitability overshadow developing people. And so in a previous job that I had, I was an assistant manager. As all people would come in, that I would tell them, your first 2 weeks here is some of your most valuable assets to our company that we have, because you're unconstrained. And so you can ask questions that we have long since stopped asking. And so your unconstrained approach to our company is actually one of our greatest capacities of innovation, because you're going to ask questions about everything because you don't know. I hear what you're saying is that employees often feel that sense of they come in and they just feel like a biological robot.
Yeah.
It's like, we need to upload. If management could just plug in a portal like the Matrix style and just upload the codes, like, now I know.
Absolutely.
I feel like in past years, some of my experience, I think a lot of people will resonate with this, is that I've felt that devaluation in my personhood. That's just like, your only value to us is to constrain yourself to our operation protocols.
Right.
And if they could upload that to my brain through AI, management would be like, yes, please.
Yeah.
Rather than taking the time to talk and see the person, develop relationship, and honor that celebration. Like,
Absolutely.
is that kind of some of your experience?
Absolutely. I think that one thing that I think about frequently is that if you treat people as though they are replaceable, they will become replaceable, right? What makes people work hard and what makes people committed to your organization is if they understand the passion and the drive behind it and the common goal that we're trying to achieve.
Yes.
How can they truly understand that passion if they don't have one of their own?
Yeah.
Right? That's one of the biggest things I look for when building my team, is people that have these inherent strong drives toward whatever they're passionate about. I've got a diverse team with diverse interests. I mean, one of my girls teaches horseback riding lessons and rodeo coaching. Another one is becoming a teacher. She's got her first student teacher assignment this semester, which is so exciting. And then on top of that, she wants to build her own coffee trailer during the summers. What an amazing opportunity to be a part of her story, both of their stories.
Yeah.
And so a huge piece of this to me is not only celebrating their wins in the context of our daily operations and those constrained metrics that we were talking about, but also in the ways that they can grow as an individual toward their own aspirations and their own goals.
Yeah, which I think I've so appreciated in talking with you, that you have this beautiful balance between I like the word you used, the metrics of measurement of La Camionnette's success as a business. So you're holding that as a business owner that provides for you and your husband, Noah, balanced within a conceptualization of you're developing people. That you're not most likely, you're not going to keep employees in your business as a barista for a lifetime.
Oh, absolutely.
And so you're seeing how they're providing you benefit, but that your focus is how can you help develop them for their next step so that they leave your organization better prepared to succeed in life.
Absolutely.
Which I think has been such a beautiful aspect of hearing about your business culture. But in talking, we share this experience that our experience was not, we didn't have a common experience in that. We had like touch points of people in management areas that helped us with that.
Absolutely.
But then as far as starting your business, then being very passionate about helping create that culture and helping to build that so it becomes more commonplace
Absolutely.
for employees. Within that, I think it was beautiful hearing how such a simple foundational treat, kind of gone to the wayside, but it's timeless, is to treat one another as you wanted to be treated.
Absolutely, the golden rule.
Yeah. It's timeless.
Absolutely.
It's simple. It's proven true for generations and generations, and it gets results. And so really hearing that empathy, that empathetic, putting yourself in someone else's shoes and say, how would I want to be treated? And giving your leadership to your employees, which are all girls. So that's hence why you say, buy the girlies.
Absolutely.
Buy the girlies for the girlies.
Buy the girlies for the girlies.
For
That's,
the girlies.
yeah.
Which is so beautiful. So as you press into your girlies, hence the definition of
Yeah.
the usage at the beginning of the podcast. But as you press into your girlies, like how do you apply that principle in a business context? How does that show up in your business culture?
Right now, with one of my baristas, Michaela, she came to me and said that something that she really wants to work on for her time with us and also her time beyond La Camionnette is her ability to lead and shape the team. So how do we build her skills as a transformational leader so that she can then take them and make an incredible impact on the world with her horseback riding lessons, rodeo coaching, etc., and really create that experience for other people. We are working very intentionally with her on scheduling her focused training shifts with other members of the team where they have a dedicated goal to work on and then dedicated space after to discuss what went really well, what didn't go so well. And not only is that helping grow her skills for her own personal future, but it also helps me in that I don't have to be here every minute of every day because I have these incredibly dedicated girlies that want to be part of the mission.
Yeah, which is so beautiful. I remember as we spoke about that for the first time, you used this phrase that it just drew me in. I was like, I remember I was taking notes, we're chatting, and it just stopped me up short. You said you like to hire rescue baristas.
Yes.
And I was like, how about you tell me about that? Because I'm not so sure about that. Like, what is that principle as far as hiring rescue baristas? What does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that we all have things in our past, whether we want to label them with this hard label of trauma or whether it's just situations we went through that were less than ideal. And for me, there were multiple jobs where if you couldn't meet the same level of proficiency and perfection, really, that the person demonstrating for you was doing after 15 years doing that skill, if you couldn't match that on day one, then why were you even trying?
Yeah.
Right? I had a store manager at Starbucks. She's actually the one that began teaching me latte art. Latte art is not really a thing at Starbucks. It's more so about speed, right? She spoke back to when she was originally being trained, and her trainer told her, after 2 attempts at steaming milk, her trainer said, "You're never going to get this. Let's just move on." And now, 10 years later, that same woman that was almost given up on by her trainer was teaching me not only how to properly steam milk, but how to turn that milk into beautiful latte art. And for me, it's really become, how can I be the person that helps guide them toward helping other people,
Yeah.
rather than the person that holds them back from it.
I think it was so beautiful to celebrate how, like with Heart of the Valley here in Bozeman, that there's this aspect of so many of like their rescue animals. They're not bad animals.
No, they've been hurt.
They've been hurt and wounded.
And they've learned these coping skills
Totally.
to try and heal themselves, right? But maybe the way that these coping skills demonstrate themselves are not beneficial anymore.
Yes.
Like they're not in that dangerous situation anymore, and they don't need to lash out to protect themselves.
Yes.
It's similar in what I see with baristas that have been mistreated at other jobs. They have this innate fear almost. One thing that I see it in all the time is cash management. Every single time I bring a new barista on, they have this almost crippling fear of counting the register because they've been written up so many times for it being wrong, rather than someone taking the time to be like, okay, like what about this is not clicking? Because if your register is wrong every time and you're not stealing, then there's something else at play, right? Whether it's mathematically or whatever. Rather than their leader taking the time to explore that with them, they just slapped them with write-up after write-up, which rather than motivating them and helping them build their skills, just demoralize them.
Yeah.
And so they come in and I've had girls who are like, okay, how many times can we get written up before we get fired? And I'm like, whoa, you just got hired, babe. We don't need to think about that yet.
Oh, man.
Like, let's get you the information and resources you need to feel confident.
Yeah.
I am here to help grow you towards an incredible barista and keep growing you toward an incredible human.
Yeah, which I think then is the celebration I have of your culture, that the culture, it's a healthy culture that helps people that have had experiences that have trained in traumatic responses, hurt people. And so it's like, this is what was done to me by leadership, and it's how they're doing well. I'm low person on the totem pole. And so lessons are more caught than taught. And so it's like, okay, this is how it works and becomes ingrained. And so really inviting them in. I love that example of like, how many times can I get written up before I get fired? It's like, you just got hired.
Yeah.
That's a trauma response.
It absolutely
and so
is.
I think hearing about your culture though, that you've created a culture of health where they can come in and I don't know any experiences. I'm just going off the analogy of dogs or wounded animals.
Right.
They're bitey. They can have these responses where it's like, does the reaction match the infraction? You go to pet the dog's head and it bites your hand. You're like, I was just trying to love you, but that trauma response just says if someone's hand is coming towards me, I'm going to be hurt. So I love hearing about how you've established strong structures that help people come in to have a healthy environment that they can relax down into, feel safe, and truly heal. Another statement that you had I thought was so interesting. You said that trauma can be a powerfully beautiful force. And again, I was like, could you press into that one again? I was like, it took a minute, but like, what is it you mean by that?
When we are so deeply wounded, right, we have two options. We can retreat into that hurt and we can lash back out at other people and make them feel the way that we felt. Or we can lean into that hurt, figure out why we feel that way, and then use that power to help other people, help create space for them to tell you what's going on, help create space for them to ask for what they need. That's a big thing that I instill into my baristas, is I feel like a lot of employers are worried about, this person keeps calling out all the time, this person is whatever. Well, honestly, the reason they're calling out all the time is because they're getting to this point of burnout that they can't physically go on anymore. And if you create the space for your team to deal with and process those things, whether it be, hey, like, I need to find someone to cover my shift on Tuesday, I've got some personal stuff to deal with, or whether it's like, Samantha, will you switch with me on this day? If we can do something to allow them the space to process what they're going through, then that's what we have to do.
Which I think is so. I think that then it spoke to me so much because you said trauma can be a powerfully beautiful force if it goes in a beautiful direction. And we celebrated how earthquakes and tectonic plates shifting is massively cataclysmic, but that the end result of once that settles is that it can settle then into mountain ranges that attracts, like we found out in Bozeman, it attracts thousands of people because they just want to be close to that beauty.
Absolutely.
And so I think a beautiful collaborative quote that came out of sharing insights together was that often what shakes you is what makes you. And so I think it's beautiful as we've celebrated together in that there's those experiences that we each have, those traumatic responses of broken relationship, but that those have crafted in you this strong strength that is prominent, stands out of you wanting to create healthy environments in business that help people to heal. And then as a result, that then you're drawing people to you that also resonate with that see that as beautiful. But it was truly birthed out of something that shook you up.
Absolutely.
But that helped make what you was.
It's a weird thing to say that you're grateful for trauma. I mean, it affects me in so many ways. I mean, there are times where my anxiety gets so bad that it sends me in like physically vomiting.
Yeah.
Like my heart rate gets so high, but at the same time, it's given me this incredible capacity for understanding. I may not have had the exact same experience that the person in front of me has, but I can understand how something that seems small to one person can have been so formative in your life.
Yes. Which is why I love our conversations. We talked about, I think a huge thing as far as Bozeman is that people can throw stones back and forth, the haves and the have-nots. And then the people that maybe don't have as much as their neighbor sees them with a huge bank account and they say, man, it's so difficult being wealthy. And other people are like, well, I wish I had your problem.
Yeah, you want to switch?
You know, like, yeah, you want to switch, you know? Which is, I mean, and that is very understandable. It's a very understandable response. But then the capacity to have that empathy of saying, wow, when you have a lot of resources, it's difficult to trust other people. Why do you want to be in a relationship with me? Because I have $400 million. Like, do you really care for me? And then all of the people then that come along with that is an incredible weight to bear, how to manage all of that money.
Absolutely.
Like what happens if you lose it? That's a huge weight.
Absolutely. When you don't come from that wealth, you don't have the knowledge and the resources to be able to support that amount of money.
Yes. And so that ability to have that empathy, to get in someone else's shoes and treat them the way you want to be treated, to help them thrive is beautiful. It's been so good to see how that is working itself out in your business. And so I love that you hire rescue baristas,
Yes.
but that you're seeing how then the traumas can become then strength for the future and developing powerful women that you're sending out who are well positioned to attract other people to their prominent place of leadership to help other people and do well as well. It's just beautiful.
Well, and I was a rescue barista. I mean, when Starbucks took me in, I was not the leader that I am now. I did not lead from a place of empathy and compassion. I led with strict standards and a heavy hammer. And there are ways that I address situations in the past that I'm not proud of. But the only thing that I can do is move forward and do better tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's been so wonderful in our conversations as well, the empathy and the grace that you have for past leaders who were developing cultures that they were doing the best that they could. Shared passion with Brene Brown, the generous assumptions of people's lives that they're doing the best that they knew how. And so that doesn't mean that they couldn't improve or grow, but that they were doing the very best that they knew how to with the tools and resources that they have. So
Absolutely.
I've loved that as well as you've looked backwards, that you're engaging the full array likewise, like Brene says, you can't selectively medicate the emotions and experiences that you have. If you don't engage the trauma and say, I will only have a good life, that will fault you out from having the best life. And so I love hearing how you've processed all of that, been honest, and then discovered within like past experiences that managers it's commonly held perspective that managers often think like if we don't crack down on our employees, we don't watch them like a hawk, interrogate those guys, they're not going to work hard for us. And then that's grown then into this current era, that this current era is the laziest generation. They don't want to work, but really seeing, I think that's been a principle that's been developed out of their trauma responses.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so like, I don't believe that that's true, but it's been interesting to hear about your experiences with your girlies. Your girlies are absolutely proving that is not true.
Couldn't be farther from the truth. I can't tell you how many times a day even I have to be like, go home, get out of here. Yeah. I got it, you're good.
So you found the opposite to be true.
Absolutely.
They want to, if you're not careful as a leader pulling on the reins, they will overwork themselves. Like what is it that you feel like is fueling that passion to work hard that's a part of La Camionnette culture?
I think a big part of it is we want feedback. We want the positive, and we also want to know the ways that we can grow. For some of us, it can be really difficult to receive less than positive feedback, but it's also so integrally important. I just had an experience where I conducted our first yearly employee reviews, and I had a girl, and I gave her some feedback that may have not been the easiest thing to hear. But right after our employee review, and especially the next day, she came back so energized and ready to focus on the things. I came in that next morning, she goes, Samantha, I've already been working on everything we talked about during our employee review. And I lit up. I was so excited to see that, like, because it's not easy to give that negative feedback either. I mean, as a leader, I stress so much about, am I going to say it the right way? Is it going to come off the way that I intended to in my head? And it just is so rewarding to see that people do want that, and they want to be performing well. And as long as we recognize them when they do perform well and provide them opportunities to work on the things that they might not be meeting the mark on, they want to do well. We all want to do well.
Yeah, which I think is such a key component that I've heard as part of your business culture. And I think is a truism across humanity, is that we all at a core level, we want to do well. Now, how we get to that end goal, again, like through trauma responses, self-protecting or hoarding resources or becoming suspicious, those are ways to help uphold that value. I want to do well. But it's out of a context of fear, abuse, and a lack of trust. But the core value is still there. We want to do well. And so I think it's beautiful seeing how you're helping to shift the culture where in a previous kind of predominant culture of business, employees are lazy, you gotta watch them like a hawk. Like subliminally the message is being sent, you're worthless, you're not trustworthy, and you're a problem to me. Is the subliminal messages
Absolutely, and
being
that's
sent.
something they pick up on.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, when we hire someone, like, we know they're not stupid. We hired them for a reason. So of course they're going to pick up on the virtue signaling that we're doing along the way. And if we're signaling that we think that they're lazy and we think that they don't want to work, then that is what we will see happen.
Yeah, and then I think that's beautiful seeing how then you reverse that, your foundational tenet kind of coming back to that of treat others as you want to be treated. You know, I've heard you say in that context of difficulty, that you're like, how would I want a leader to show up in my life if I had failed or was doing something that was less than optimal? How would I want leadership to show up in my life? And so then I really hear that your employees, your girlies, are really experiencing that, and they feel that genuine care, or rather than just, you're an expendable, we're going to kick you to the curb and we're going to start over with somebody who gets it. that even though it's hard things, they feel you stepping in to say, I'm willing to invest in you because you're valuable. You can grow. You're a person of power. You can make powerful decisions and change. I believe in that. And that's why I'm confronting this and calling you higher. Out of that, then, you've seen your girlies obviously respond. They're getting the culture. So they want to work for you. You're like, no, go take a rest day.
Yes,
Rest
please
up.
go home.
Be available tomorrow by resting today.
Yes.
And so you've actually found the reverse to be true. They're wanting to work too much, and now you're having to regulate, go home. In that process, then, another element that we've talked about is that you've innovated rather than thinking about your employees are here to serve you, what you're doing in La Camionnette, you're going to have them for a career. More than likely only going to be with you from 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
So taking that in consideration, really being intentional into that, what are you doing differently in your leadership practices to help develop them for the future?
I recently rolled out this new benefit that I'm calling growth and development sessions. And it is a dedicated hour-long session once quarterly with each person on my team, one-on-one meeting where we focus exclusively on their future plans, whether they already have a business in progress, whether they have ideas for a business. A few of my girls are artists, and I'm helping them figure out, how do I monetize this art? How do I turn this into a career? And it's been so incredibly rewarding to see the passions that these girls have up close and personal. I have a barista. I've worked with her for almost a year. And I just recently found out she is an amazing artist. Such an amazing artist. And I'm so excited that now I get to be a part of this journey because I was intentional in setting up these resources for them.
And to clarify, make sure I'm hearing correctly, is these sit-down meetings, you said quarterly with each one of them. So these aren't sit-down, this is how you can be better for La Camionnette. They can bring whatever they're passionate about, and you're going to help pour into them.
Yes, absolutely. It's all about what they are working on for their professional growth outside of La Camionnette Coffee.
Wow, beautiful.
I've seen some amazing things, from the barista I mentioned earlier, who is becoming a teacher, wants to start her own coffee cart during the summers. We are working on designing her floor plan with all of the things that I had to learn this last 2 years about the health code requirements for food service in a trailer. A lot of these things, the health department does what it can, but these resources are not always made accessible and easy to understand.
Yes.
I remember there were so many times during these last 2 years, the last year that we've been operating and the year prior where I was getting everything set up, there were so many times where I felt so alone and so overwhelmed by the amount of information I had to process, the amount of regulations I had to understand and follow. And I still find things that I didn't know about, it's an ongoing process.
Yes.
But the idea that these girls get to start on their dreams and their aspirations and have someone who's alongside them and committed to helping them grow.
Yes.
I'm just really excited to be a part of that.
Again, that as far as celebrating what you're doing, and this podcast was birthed out of that, is just so celebrating what you're doing, and then the extrapolation outwards to the shifts in culture that's helping to empower. Obviously, in Bozeman, people know it's expensive to live here.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Some of the biggest battles for sustainable culture and community and thriving together is, how do you be a teacher or a nurse and provide critical services for community health and thriving and live in this community? Hearing how you're setting up your girls as they're growing into powerful women, really maturing them up, is seeing you're setting them up then, like the example of your teacher, that she can teach, and she's passionate about nurturing and growing people educationally, but that she's an entrepreneur that has a model to be able to have a trailer that she can drop close to her school, provide teachers with coffee, but also supplement her income, and that you're really helping build an entrepreneurial mindset, and then taking all of the hurdles, the difficulties you've went through, and helping gift that forward to your girls to be able so that they can succeed faster. So you're truly building an inheritance of wealth, generation, and legacy. And rather than leaving, as far as legacy, you're not leaving something to your girlies, you're placing something within them that helps resource them on their way. So another thing I love about your innovation of this outlet is truly additional investment on your part. That is not coming directly back to La Camionnette. You're developing and investing in others for their future. An element that I hear that's so strong within that is you're helping your girls to take ownership of their passion, taking ownership of the value that they create in the world. And so in that context, that's causing visioning. So they have to come to that meeting with a vision for their life. They have to look for value. Where am I producing value? What are the things I'm passionate internally? And you're calling that forward by creating that context. My experience with your girls then is that I experienced that is calling them into a context of ownership. They're owning themselves as a powerful resource. And so rather than being just employees, you're actually drawing them into a context of ownership.
Absolutely.
So within that, I see a critical shift in your business model, in that from my very first experience with your employees is you have 7, just hired 8 employees now. And so really seeing there's 7 owners, they have taken ownership of La Camionnette, and now your ownership is that you're taking ownership and responsibility of developing them. So as they've taken ownership of your business, operating at structures, that's freed up resources for you to take responsibility for them, to grow them up. It's this dynamical interplay.
Well, and another piece of it too is that it's so easy when we talk about this in this broad bird's eye view. It's so easy for it to sound like it's this complete shift and complete difference from traditional business, right? What we think of. But really, a way that I look at it is that if you're treating someone like they are replaceable and they are just we need another body in the store, then you will have that person at about 50% capacity for 1 to 2 years. Or you can pour yourself into this person, help grow them, and you'll have someone at 100% capacity for 3 to 4 years. Not only are you reducing your hiring and onboarding costs because you're not having that insane turnover, but you also have a better customer experience throughout every single step of the process.
Yes, 100%, which I love how then you as we talk, you flipped the perspective of how you treat others as you want to be treated from a leadership perspective, but that you're also helping empower your girlies to embody that with your guests.
The biggest piece for me is meeting our customers or the people we're interacting with, meeting them where they're at. Not everybody wants a 20-minute conversation on what they're doing this weekend, what their dog's name is. Some people love that. It's so, okay, don't get me wrong, I love the doggies. But some people just want a really warm smile and a delicious cup of coffee. And that's what they need for the rest of the day. Coffee is this beautiful way to connect community because a lot of us see this cup of coffee as a relief from our day. It's this little beverage, this little thing we carry with us that brings us strength for the rest of the day. Like a bunch of us have what we call emotional support water bottles, you know? I feel like
I have one of those.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, man.
And in the coffee industry, not only do we have this opportunity to have these meaningful interactions with people every day, but we also have the power to give them this thing that carries them forward through the rest of their day.
Another person that I love to read is Simon Sinek, and he talks about how business owners are often, they're not aware of what business they're in. And so I think it's beautiful hearing how you have distilled out that while you are providing a product, which is coffee, the service that you're truly providing is community, this connection point where people can get away from their day, take a brief reprieve, get something to recenter, get up in the morning. I love
Start their day on the right
start
foot.
on the right foot. Instant human, just add coffee.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
You're helping your girlies become aware too of like what is the true value that you're providing. If you think it's just coffee, then you pour all of your effort into making super high quality product, but you're not caring for the person, and your business is going to suffer. And so really helping your girls to become aware likewise of like how do we merge resource with opportunity to invest well, and then what is it that's the true value that we're adding.
Absolutely.
So in that process, like what do your conversations look like with your employees to help instill that capacity and help awaken that vision to take advantage of that?
I think it really is just about discussing, like what clues can we gather from the interaction that we're having with this customer, and how can we provide just 10% more joy in their day? How do we, like for this person in front of us, does it look like a bigger conversation? Or does it look like a quicker moment of connection that allows them to resume the rest of their day?
And again, the thing I celebrate as so beautiful about your leadership and business culture is that you're pressing into helping awaken intuition. So rationale, super easy to impart. It's X plus Y equals Z. But that you're helping then to step behind what makes for a successful, truly community member is being able to step into that intuitive space and say like, I don't know how I know, but I know that this person, this is what they need. And then bam, you serve that. And I think beyond helping people then have a valuable resource, valuable experience, beyond that in your context, you're really helping people to be seen. That person's like, I didn't even know that was a need myself, but I feel so taken care of. And they walk away with that subliminal experience, but that at that core level of a heart's desire, I want to do well, that they walked away having felt that at a deep heart level that they may not even be aware of themselves.
Yeah.
And so I think then again, the thing that I just celebrate about your business is while you're providing an excellent product, that you're also helping create thriving community within yourself and your interaction with your girlies. That's then pouring out the service window of your little trailer. That as people come get coffee, that they're getting caught up into the community and the health that you're providing to be then carriers back into their workplaces or their homes or wherever they're going back to it with the reprieve of getting coffee. I think the place where it's been so encouraging getting to engage La Camionnette is this beautiful merging with then as a business owner in the Bozeman community, what I'm going after and creating thriving community through collaborative business has been so beautiful to hear what you're establishing within your business culture. And so happy and delighted to then collaborate with you to take your voice, promote that to the Bozeman culture. And so I think a big takeaway for me is that a lot of what you're innovating and moving forward with results is just a fertile ground for other business owners in the Bozeman community to take from and innovate from, to know that it's not just business, it's personal.
Yeah.
Like, that we are people who are in relationship together that are synergizing for this common goal, to do well.
Absolutely.
So I love playing with words that community can be pulled apart as common unity. And so we have this common unity together as individuals that we want to do well, And so then as leaders, thought leaders, business leaders in community, to really innovate structures that helps promote the thriving of every individual within our base of authority, whatever we have control over. And so I think there's a lot of takeaways for me that, like I've said, I've promoted to other business leaders here in the area. Likewise, I've gone back to the drawing board on a lot of the stuff that I'm developing. Be like, well, defrag. Let's insert that here and plug that code in here, and to help my business be better as a result of engaging your business. And then on top of business, then there's business principles and innovation. I think it's beautiful to see how your culture of your business, likewise, can be a real encouragement to the Bozeman community. That as we innovate and grow, that every day the Bridger Mountains is this reminder of what tectonic shifts can create. Absolutely. And that what shakes you makes you. And so a voice of hope and encouragement, that pioneering spirit for the Bozeman community in this season of time where our city is shifting, it's changing, people are feeling that shaking. And so there are hurts, there are things that are traumas, but to really hear how your story is growing into this expression of prominent strength and beauty that is drawing other people to you to help to grow and to be healthy. And that can really encourage our Bozeman community as we're really tackling these complex community issues of like, how do we stay sustainable as a Bozeman community, and how do we protect, conserve the beauty of our mountains?
Yeah.
And so I think it's so inspiring to hear how that message of hope, that as I move forward as a business owner in the area and really seek to bring emergent transformation to business cultures, I very often wind up feeling like I'm the only one. I'm the only one do this. I lie to myself. And so it's been so beautiful to see not only are you doing many of the things that I long to establish in my company, but you're already like 10, 12 miles down the road. And in a celebratory way, you're making me look bad. I love that.
Okay, it's funny you say that, because working with you has been so encouraging that I am doing the right thing, you know, that I'm taking the right steps toward building that community here, starting at our little pink trailer, and it'll eventually grow into so much more. Yeah. And so, yeah, there's been a few moments throughout this journey, and especially with you, where it's just been this lovely full circle experience. I'm seeing the love that I'm pouring into my team, and I'm seeing that there are so many other incredible community members here that are also pouring so much love back into Bozeman.
Yes, which I celebrate, that our town is full of innovative, forward-thinking, pioneering people, and just that hope, like you said, that you reach out, you share the times when you are anxious, so anxious you're like, I'm physically vomiting.
Yeah.
Imposter syndrome high with myself all
Absolutely.
the time. But just these beautiful touch points of where, when we collaborate, that I'm walking away so full with so many insights on how to innovate in my context, and then be able to promote your messaging to the rest of the community and help people see you do well within Bozeman as well. So hopefully you enjoyed the conversation, friends. Oh my goodness, we could stay here all day. Come by to La Camionnette, located in the food hall of the market, just off of Huffline Lane. Come see Samantha, reach out to her. I know she'd love to talk with you. Guys, have a wonderful day, and look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining in on the community conversation today. I want to just say I'm so incredibly honored that you would choose to invest your time and attention with me in my guest. And I want to invite you into a multiplied return on your investment. If there's somebody who comes to mind that you know who would benefit from and be encouraged by what my guest shared today, please consider sharing the podcast with them to help move them forward in what they're doing here in the Bozeman area. Likewise, if you can think of someone that you could network together with my guest, who could collaborate with them or give input or growth into the ideas that were shared to help accelerate them forward in what they're doing, likewise, that would be such a huge gift to me, my guest, and our Bozeman community. Guys, hope you're having a wonderful day and look forward to seeing you in the next community conversation.